Geno Auriemma, Caitlin Clark again. The world turns. It's Caitlin Clark's world. We just live on planet Caitlin. Have you heard about the biggest error made by Geno Auriemma? After failing to recruit Caitlin Clark, the renowned UConn coach is now witnessing a sharp decline in his program's enrollment. In the meantime, Clark is breaking attendance records and changing the women's basketball rules. Last college women's basketball season, Caitlin Clark had the sport by the throat. Iowa women's basketball was must-see TV, and if they were in a town, it was packed out in that arena. The fan investment into Caitlin followed her to the WNBA, and viewership numbers for her games were sky-high. Her mere presence alone helped several teams break attendance records, and in some instances, teams chose to move games to larger venues to accommodate the fanfare of Caitlin coming to town. You might be thinking, how could Auriemma miss on such a superstar? Well, it gets even crazier. While UConn struggles to fill seats, Clark's influence is so massive that WNBA teams are moving games to bigger arenas just to accommodate her fans. Talk about a recruiting blunder that's costing UConn big time. Remember when UConn women's basketball reigned supreme, dominating the sport with an unmatched legacy? Under Geno Auriemma's leadership, the team seemed unstoppable, producing stars like Diana Taurasi, Sue Bird, Maya Moore, and Breanna Stewart. Look what an ex-UConn star said about it. There's a lot of other candidates out there that you could call the greatest of all time, but it'd be hard-pressed to have him not at least be in the top 5 in every sport. The sustained level of success is so hard in sports at any level, and he has done it for 4 decades. He has been a championship-level coach, and I'm not sure there's anyone out there that's quite been that good for that long. These athletes all made a lasting impression and came to represent the program's domination, and their names came to represent play at the championship level. UConn was the gold standard in women's basketball for a long time because of Auriemma's unmatched ability to develop talent and assemble dominant teams. It has been more fun because there are more bodies out there. As you would imagine, there isn't a lot of practice today. I wonder who will be there. The days of glory seem so far gone, and the decline from grace has been nothing short of astonishing. UConn is finding it difficult to hold on to its previous dominance as fans are increasingly migrating to schools like LSU and South Carolina. With attendance figures that are difficult to comprehend for a program that was once at the pinnacle of women's basketball, the recent UConn game in the Bahamas truly brought home how far they've fallen. Yesterday, UConn played in front of 567 spectators in the Bahamas. It's difficult to accept that this is the same squad that used to fill arenas with more than 10,000 ardent fans every night. Can you picture the reverberations in an almost deserted arena? It's a long way from the heyday of UConn when it was like winning the lottery to get a ticket to see the Huskies play. Sellout audiences were as much a part of UConn basketball in those days as Geno Auriemma's trademark frown. Fans would travel for hours to see celebrities like Diana Taurasi perform on the court. Therefore, we sort of need to figure out how we're going to compete. What then is causing this sharp decline in attendance? There is much more to the story than merely losing a few games, despite what you may believe. UConn remains a strong squad. Not that they're at the bottom of the barrel. No. This drop indicates a more significant trend in women's collegiate basketball. By the looks of things, they're actually playing in what appears to be an auditorium rather than even a basketball gym. Could it be that Geno is witnessing a change in the sports landscape? Games in Iowa, South Carolina, and LSU are gaining prominence and attracting sizable crowds, as well as sizable television audiences. UConn is having trouble maintaining its equilibrium, as if the basketball gods chose to upend everything. The gravity of the issue really hits you when you think, oh, the fans need to spend more money. In actuality, supporters must spend their money any way they see fit. Fans have the option to watch a player if they so desire. For example, a Juju Watkins fan who chooses not to pay to watch her perform is not at fault. A Paige Bueckers fan who refuses to pay to see her perform is not at fault. Caitlin Clark fans are willing to pay to see her perform. In actuality, though, it doesn't matter. Neither the viewer nor the customer are ever held accountable for their preferences. What if there was a single significant error at the root of it all? One player who may have made all the difference, Geno Auriemma, passed over. You're undoubtedly wondering how one recruit could have such a significant impact. But stay with me. Despite having the opportunity to hire the Golden Goose, Auriemma decided to promote Paige Bueckers instead. In retrospect, this choice may have been the decisive moment that changed the history of UConn. The worst part is that all of this could point to a single player Geno let slip through his fingers. One recruit could have given the team a boost, kept those seats occupied, and perhaps even preserved UConn's resolute hold on women's collegiate basketball. This unknown player? That would be Caitlin Clark. Geno really did make a mistake with this one. It's not just arenas that Clark fills. She is completely changing the women's basketball playbook. Here's what's truly crazy though. She may have gone to UConn. Why then didn't Geno call? That sums it up. If Caitlin Clark had been there, the place would have been packed, and people would have been hanging from the rafters and sitting on the stage. Clark has been cramming them in like it's no big deal. At Iowa, she was drawing 15,000 spectators to each game. Imagine the intensity of the atmosphere in those arenas. Every game seemed to be a rock concert with Clark as the main act. Butts and seats aren't the only thing at stake. In ways we have never seen before, Clark is revolutionizing the game. It seems as though she has GPS at her fingertips when shooting at long range. You'd think she had eyes in the back of her head since those passes are so dazzling and surprising. She does more than simply play hoops. Everyone is talking about the show she's performing. You then discuss how athletes who alter the game while on the court need to be watched when they enter the gym. If you liked the video, please give it a like. I have faced several outstanding shooters who require your protection as soon as they enter the gym. I believe that she was able to demonstrate that ability and make that shot because of the way the game is played. That is an excellent shot. It reflects the current state of basketball. This is when things start to get interesting. Clark was not even offered a scholarship by UConn, a program that once had the right to select any athlete in the nation. Is it not unbelievable? Coach Geno Auriemma, whose reputation has been founded on his ability to identify talent, let Clark elude him. What then took place? Why did Geno overlook a player who is now regarded as one of basketball's most promising prospects? It was a stylistic mismatch, according to some. UConn is renowned for its methodical team-first philosophy. She's all about high-risk, high-reward strategies. Clark attempting to put a square peg into a round hole is like that. Would Geno allow Caitlin Clark to shoot Lobo threes if she played for him? Should I respond to that? Proceed. Absolutely not. He even forbade us from dribbling. No 5 passes. Triangle pass, screen away, and pinch post were the games we were playing. We probably had 5 pick and rolls during our career. But did Geno make a huge mistake? Or was it really simply a matter of style? Perhaps he was so preoccupied with players who suited his system that he overlooked someone who could have revolutionized it, or maybe he assumed Clark's flamboyant approach wouldn't transcend to the next level. She lacks the necessary skill set to deal with that league's toughness. This choice appears to be among the worst recruiting blunders in college basketball history, regardless of the rationale behind it. Because Geno believed Clark wouldn't fit into the UConn system, he decided not to recruit her. Now that Clark is dominating the WNBA, that choice appears to be becoming worse every day. Once more, the world turns on Geno Auriemma and Caitlin Clark. It's the world of Caitlin Clark. We simply call the planet Caitlin home. Geno, darling, the team becomes the correct one if Caitlin Clark is on it. Since Caitlin Clark is involved, saying Michael Jordan isn't on the right team is analogous to that. If Michael Jordan is on the team, it's the proper one. The worst part is still to come. Clark's achievements are drawing even more attention to UConn's difficulties. People always ask themselves, what if she had been wearing UConn blue whenever she sets a new record or sells out an arena? Would it still be difficult for the Huskies to fill seats? Would they still reign supreme in collegiate basketball? And what if Geno isn't sleeping at night because of that? Because UConn is left wondering how they allowed the biggest star in women's basketball to slip away while Clark is creating history in the WNBA. It was hardly the game-changing event that UConn had hoped for. Geno Auriemma didn't hold back when Caitlin Clark joined the Indiana Fever after being selected as the first overall pick. He expressed doubts about her preparedness for the league, implying that she wasn't suited to the rough style of play of the WNBA. She's doing really well in my opinion. She seems to talk a lot and receive a lot of feedback. As a result, she deserves everything because she gives it her all. The brutality of this league simply isn't her style. Yes, she can't escape the physicality quickly enough. Auriemma, however, didn't stop there. He also disparaged the Fever supporters, saying they were ignorant about the WNBA. His comments caused a great deal of controversy and fueled an already intense discussion on Clark's decision to turn pro. If you're a college athlete, and like Caitlin, you excel at your sport by claiming that she will enter that league and destroy it, her naive fan following disdained the WNBA players. In fact, there were odds that she would win MVP at a WNBA for the 3rd or 4th time. These folks are so rude, ignorant, and foolish that they damage the reputation of women's basketball. It wasn't just Auriemma who had reservations. Diana Taurasi, a former player, also offered her opinion, predicting that Clark would experience a humiliating awakening in the WNBA. Taurasi claimed that Clark wouldn't be able to dominate as easily as she did in college because the league was more intense. SVP reality is on the horizon. Alright, so this thing has levels, and that's just the nature of existence. We all experienced it. Even though you appear superhuman when playing against 18-year-olds, you'll be accompanied by some mature women who have played basketball professionally for a long time. You know what? They were all proven wrong by Caitlin Clark. She went above and beyond expectations. She wiped them out. Clark finished her inaugural season by winning the prestigious Rookie of the Year award, shattering viewership milestones and breaking other records. Geno Auriemma appears to have completely changed his mind now, referring to Caitlin Clark as a game changer. However, what is the true reason for this change of heart? Is it a fresh understanding of her abilities, or is there a more deliberate factor at work? I believe that Caitlin Clark's personality is influenced by her interactions with others. She connects with people, and she connects with people, you know. Geno Auriemma wasn't exactly praising Caitlin Clark when she was a collegiate star. She's just not built for the WNBA, he said bluntly. Isn't that harsh? She didn't think she would go to the next level with her high-risk, high-reward approach. But how those words have haunted him ever since. It's impossible to predict how soon a college student will adjust to the WNBA game. And based on how fast she's adjusted to this game, I believe Caitlin has performed fairly well. In the present day, Geno is singing a totally different song. All of a sudden, he's stating a great deal of attention was generated by Caitlin's college career. A remarkable occurrence that hardly ever occurs. It undoubtedly altered the terrain, without a doubt. What a 180-degree turn, huh? You may ask yourself, what gives? Did Geno have an epiphany about basketball? This is when the exciting part begins. Geno's attitude changed drastically. Coincidentally, it aligns with his most recent business endeavor. You see, Geno is more than simply a coach these days. With Unrivaled, the brand new 3-on-3 league, he has a stake in the outcome. Don't you think they wanted a star attraction? That's right, Caitlin Clark. This league has a large number of investors. Since his remarks regarding a young rookie, one investor has been attempting to remain silent about his stake in the league. However, he was in the news for roughly a month and a half. That's where my dog is. You know, I'm here to inform you that he owns a portion of this league. We're not arguing that Geno's compliments aren't sincere. Perhaps after witnessing Clark's dominance in the WNBA, he has changed his mind. However, you must acknowledge that the timing is quite advantageous. With a deal reportedly worth over $1 million, Unrivaled was willing to go to great lengths for Clark. For an off-season gig, that's a lot of money. Here's the worst part, though.
Clark said that's correct.
She declined the large payout in order to concentrate on rest and recuperation. Can you fathom the outcome of that? According to sources, Geno was clearly distraught upon hearing the news. Clark was more than just a possible unrivaled player after all. They were counting on her to put eyeballs on screens and butts in seats. Despite Aaliyah Boston's decision to undertake Unrivaled, he has chosen not to.